when we are looking at selecting board members, basically what we try to look for is whether there is a particular vacancy for a particular discipline that we are lacking on the board. So, for instance, is whether risk is represented, whether we have a chartered accountant, whether we have a person with IT knowledge, whether we have somebody with HR practice knowledge. So, all of the basic things that go towards building up a services institution, and especially a bank, we need to ensure that there is somebody on the board who has the expertise in that particular area. Because, everything actually, all good practices flow from the top. They don't go from the bottom to the top. And because that is the case, it is very important to have a very empowered board. And therefore, what you need is people not only who have theoretical knowledge, but who also have execution experience. So, you'll find lots and lots of people who have a lot of theoretical knowledge. The fact is that I would always look for people who have also been in roles where they have actually executed the plans that they have laid out. Because planning, strategy, and execution, they all go together. And if I had these various disciplines well represented in the board, of course, in a bank, you always need a credit professional. So, you needed all of the disciplines that are there in the bank to be well represented in the board so that you can get the proper guidance. Okay, look for that is people, whether we have the right, are they coming from the right discipline in order to fill up the gap in the board? Second, whether they have been in planning as well as execution roles. Thirdly, the strategic direction that they have set in their previous roles. Because today, we need that. And of course, as Peter Drucker, I think, said that culture eats strategy for breakfast. So we also needed people who came with the right kind of background, that is the right kind of cultural background. So, what is their, what should I say, track record in the area of compliance, in the area of integrity, ethics, etc., etc. So you would look at all of that as a package and then nominate some of the board members, because there is a nomination committee, as you know, of the board, and they would look at all of that. And then, they would accordingly nominate the people. And then, of course, because in SBI, there were only 4 positions for which we could have a say, in the sense that the rest of them are actually nominated by the government. We have no say whatsoever in either selecting or doing anything. But the 4 members that represent the minority shareholders, we do have a say. So we would nominate a number of those people, and then, of course, the minority shareholders would vote. And depending upon who won the vote, they would get the place on the seat. The seat on the board. For a board member on a services company, you have to be, or even on any company, you have to be employee focused. Because at the end of the day, it is very important for your employees to feel that they are part of the company and the company is taking care of them. Because unless and until you're able to align the company goals with personal goals, you will not get the best out of a resource. Okay. After all, labor is also a resource, right? So any kind of people who are, they are one of the factors of production. If they are one of the factors of production, then the people that you work with, they very much determine whether you're going to have efficient working or inefficient working. And therefore, not looking at them and not concentrating on their well-being doesn't leave you anywhere, actually. It is very important for people to understand that this is so. And therefore, talking about what is being done for the employees, what could be their pain points, what is the management doing in order to align goals, what is the management doing in respect of succession, what is the management doing for enabling their people. These are things that board members must look at. Because unless and until there is some pressure from the top, these matters tend to recede into the background and you're only talking business. Talking business is great and it needs to be talked because, again, as you know, that companies have to grow and you said that yourself. But who will bring about that growth and how will it be brought about in an efficient way? That can only happen when you have a cohort of very motivated employees who feel that this is something that is close to them and who give it their best shot to ensure that, they are doing the right thing by the company. So I think, that's something that we need to be very conscious of. and this is not something that we can push away. As for, balancing risk with growth, the one thing that I understand very clearly is that if you don't understand the risk, don't do it.
Yeah.
At the financial crisis, people just stepped in because of the returns that they were getting on the various credit linked notes, the CLNs and the CDOs and things like that,
Right.
without really understanding what the risk was all about. It was a new instrument. It needed to be really and truly gone through before you actually started it. And that was not happening. And in fact, I remember when I think this was in 1994, I did my first currency and interest rate swap with a very large PSU, because at that point of time I was in corporate banking. And this PSU minded it, this was 94, when this was not so common. Your swaps and things like that were not common at all. But what I was very impressed was that the finance department of this PSU actually had us go and educate the board members,
Mm.
starting from what is foreign exchange, what is, the rate of exchange, how it is determined, and then, slowly going on to the derivative space to explain what are the downsides, what are the upsides, how do you cap the downside. And as a result, it might also end up capping the upside, whether that is a better option or you leave both sides open. But we had at least, I think, three presentations to the board before the finance department put up these proposals, because they had a very large number of a large amount of deferred payment guarantees, and they wanted obviously to limit the risk on them. But they didn't just take it to the board, and the board, unknowingly didn't say yes. They were taken through the steps of educating the board so that the board members completely understood what they are going to look at, and only thereafter the proposal was put up. So I thought that was the ideal kind of behavior that any company showed regarding any new thing that is coming there. And if that behavior is not there in the board, it is best to say that I do not understand, and with this kind of a instrument, I don't understand the risk, and therefore I'm not comfortable going along with it.
Right.
Somebody needs to sit down and have a session with me and explain what it is going to do, what are the downsides, what are the upsides, who else has done it, how does the entire mechanism work. So you've got to at least stand up and say for yourself that you do not understand. If you don't understand, don't subscribe to it.